Questions are not just words. They are the sharpest weapons, the quietest revolutions, the invisible keys to power. Every argument we enter, every conversation we engage in, is a battlefield of thought, and the man who knows how to ask the right question never truly fights, he transforms. Imagine a room filled with voices, each shouting their truth, their certainty, their pride. Amid the chaos, one voice stands silent, asking only a single question. Suddenly, the noise ceases. Minds pause. Thoughts unravel. This is not manipulation. This is awakening. This is the art that Socrates mastered. He never raised his voice. He never sought applause. He asked questions that cut deeper than any sword, questions that reveal the flaws, the assumptions, the blind spots, the unexamined beliefs that govern human behavior. Today, you will learn the 5 questions that do not simply win debates, they dismantle illusions, reveal truths, and cultivate a stoic mastery of your mind and the minds around you. But beware, with this knowledge comes responsibility. Used poorly, it can wound. Used wisely, it awakens. In a world dominated by endless opinions, debates, and arguments, most people fail to recognize that winning a fight of words rarely leads to clarity. We are surrounded by information, yet drowning in misunderstanding. Social media amplifies certainty without wisdom, and certainty without reflection is dangerous. People argue not to find truth, but to assert identity, pride, and ego. Enter the Socratic method, a strategy designed not for victory, but for understanding. It teaches that asking the right question can achieve more than making the most eloquent statement. In fact, statements are fragile, questions are resilient. They are tools to uncover hidden assumptions, expose contradictions, and provoke self-reflection. Yet most never learn to wield them. They speak, they shout, they defend, but they rarely pause. The Stoic perspective adds another layer: mastery over emotions, ity of thought, and detachment from need for approval. When you combine the Socratic approach with Stoic principles, you don't just engage in debate, you navigate life with precision, awareness, and calm authority. This is not manipulation. It is influence through insight. And today, you will learn how to ask 5 devastatingly effective questions that will change the way you communicate and perceive reality. Socrates, a man whose name echoes through millennia, never wrote a word, never published a book, yet his impact is unmatched. He walked the streets of Athens, a city alive with debate, philosophy, and politics, not seeking to prove himself superior, but to illuminate the minds of those around him. People would gather, eager to display their knowledge, to assert their beliefs, only to leave with an unsettling awareness. They didn't truly understand what they believed or why. Socrates understood that most arguments are castles built on sand, strong in appearance, but weak at the foundation. He wielded not rhetoric, not charm, but questions, surgical and precise, designed to reveal the unseen, the unexamined, the forgotten. Marcus Aurelius, centuries later, would echo this wisdom in Stoic philosophy. The mind must remain disciplined, emotions subdued, and every belief examined. The Socratic method is not merely an intellectual exercise. It is a Stoic discipline. It cultivates awareness, humility, and clarity. It forces the practitioner to observe without judgment, to guide without force, and to awaken insight rather than demand compliance. And today, by learning these 5 questions, you are stepping into the same tradition, a lineage of thinkers who understood that true power is subtle, invisible, and transformative. These are tools for mastery over self and influence over the world, but only when applied with ethical intent. By the end of this journey, you will understand 5 questions that do not simply win arguments, they dismantle false certainty, reveal hidden assumptions, and provoke critical reflection. You will gain insight into human psychology, the mechanics of belief, and the art of influence without force. This is not about proving yourself right. This is about understanding, awakening, and cultivating calm authority. Each question is a key. One unlocks doubt, another exposes contradiction, a third tests humility, the fourth fosters perspective, and the fifth reveals the consequences of universal thought. Together, these 5 questions form a framework for navigating any conversation, any conflict, and any challenge with stoic precision and intellectual mastery. How do you know that's true? Every belief rests on foundations often invisible, untested, and fragile. This question forces introspection. Humans rarely question the roots of their convictions. Most accept inherited, repeated, or popular ideas as truth. By asking, "How do you know that's true?" you compel reflection. Psychologically, the mind resists uncertainty. Confronted with this question, assumptions tremble. The beauty of this approach lies in its subtlety. You do not attack, you illuminate. When someone cannot defend their belief, they encounter the void between perception and reality. Silence becomes a mirror. Here lies the Stoic edge. By observing without judgment, you guide without aggression. In practice, this question helps navigate discussions where certainty overshadows clarity. You are not trying to win, you are inviting awareness. The emotional impact is subtle but profound. Pride, stubbornness, and preconception quietly give way to curiosity. And from that space, insight emerges. This is the first step in mastering dialogue and understanding the structures of thought that govern not only arguments, but daily life. What are you assuming? Beneath every argument lies an iceberg of assumptions. The visible statement is only the tip. The hidden beliefs, values, and expectations form the foundation. By asking, "What are you assuming?" you expose these invisible layers. Psychologically, assumptions are the silent controllers of thought and behavior. Humans act as if assumptions are truth, rarely questioning them. This question brings them to light. Stoicism teaches observation without attachment. The Socratic method provides the tool. When someone articulates their assumptions, the hidden becomes visible, and reason begins to prevail over untested belief. Applied to modern life, this question uncovers bias, reveals inconsistency, and fosters clarity. The emotional shift is subtle. Defensiveness softens, reflection begins, and dialogue becomes collaborative rather than combative. By striking at assumptions rather than attacking statements, you transform interaction into insight. The skill here is patience. Allow the speaker to explore their own foundation fully. You are not leading, they are discovering. And this discovery is the key to self-mastery and intellectual resilience, the core of Stoic wisdom applied to human conversation. What evidence would change your mind? Belief without openness is rigidity. This question separates thinkers from blind believers. A rational mind says, "If evidence exists, I will adjust." A closed mind says, "Nothing could ever change me." Psychologically, humans cling to certainty because uncertainty feels threatening. By asking what evidence could change a belief, you invite reflection and test intellectual flexibility. This question forces the speaker to confront the limits of their reasoning. Stoicism values adaptability, understanding that perception is fallible. Practically, this question transforms discussions. Rigid statements encounter subtle challenges that reveal thought patterns and gaps in logic. The emotional impact is revealing. Acknowledgement of uncertainty, humility, and openness emerges naturally. It cultivates dialogue where insight is valued above victory, and clarity replaces stubbornness. In essence, you are not defeating the person, you are revealing the landscape of thought where truth may exist. This is the third step in mastering influence through awareness rather than domination. What would someone who disagrees say? Perspective is the essence of understanding. Asking someone to articulate opposing viewpoints forces empathy, comprehension, and self-reflection. Psychologically, humans are often trapped in echo chambers of their own beliefs. By exploring disagreement, cognitive flexibility develops, emotional defensiveness decreases, and self-awareness increases. Stoicism teaches that understanding, not judgment, guides wisdom. Applied in conversations, this question expands thinking and fosters respectful dialogue. Emotionally, it shifts interaction from confrontation to exploration. Practically, it allows for evaluation of biases, assumptions, and gaps in reasoning. The subtle power lies in transformation. The speaker moves from rigid certainty to reflective understanding, while you maintain calm authority. Insight emerges naturally, and conflict gives way to awareness. This question strengthens relationships, enhances debate, and cultivates mastery over thought and reaction. What would happen if everyone thought like you? Universalization tests consistency. This question reveals the practical consequences of beliefs and highlights blind spots. Humans rarely consider the collective impact of personal convictions. Psychologically, it triggers reflection on ethics, logic, and self-awareness. Stoicism emphasizes the universality of reason. A belief must withstand scrutiny if applied universally. Asking this question forces the mind to evaluate the broader implications of assumptions and statements. Emotionally, it induces pause, humility, and clarity. In practice, it prevents rigid dogmatism, encourages ethical reasoning, and fosters long-term perspective. The subtle power of this question is in its ability to expand thought beyond self-interest and personal bias. It transforms arguments from ego contests into exercises in rationality, awareness, and moral reasoning. By mastering this fifth question, you complete the framework of critical, Stoic-influenced inquiry. Mastering the Socratic method is more than memorizing 5 questions. It is cultivating a mindset, a way of seeing the world through clarity, patience, and disciplined reasoning. At this level, the questions are no longer mere tools. They become extensions of your awareness. Advanced practitioners do not use them to dominate or manipulate. Instead, they act as mirrors, reflecting truth back to the speaker and, importantly, to oneself. Every conversation becomes a laboratory for observation, every argument a meditation in clarity. Psychologically, this is where the mind truly transforms. Most people live on autopilot, reacting to words, defending beliefs, or clinging to identity. The advanced Stoic questioner steps out of the emotional whirlwind. They see patterns, recognize cognitive biases, and understand that certainty is often an illusion. When you ask deeply, pause strategically, and observe the unfolding responses, you are not merely extracting information, you are cultivating insight into human behavior itself. This is the intersection of Stoicism and Socratic inquiry, the calm, deliberate pursuit of truth. Emotionally, mastery here is subtle but profound. Silence is your ally. Thoughtful pauses force reflection, not defensiveness. Clarity emerges naturally as ego loosens its grip, both yours and theirs. The advanced Socratic practitioner recognizes that the most powerful questions are often the ones left unspoken, implied through tone, timing, and presence. In practical terms, this mastery allows you to navigate life beyond arguments. In relationships, negotiations, leadership, and personal growth, you influence not through coercion but through awakening awareness. Each question becomes a key, each pause a doorway. The person you converse with may not immediately see the shift, but their perspective begins to realign. Ultimately, advanced wisdom is about restraint, observation, and precision. It is the understanding that true power lies not in silencing others, but in creating space for truth to emerge. You no longer seek to win. You seek to understand. You guide, not impose. And in this quiet, deliberate mastery, you discover the ultimate Stoic insight, that the one who can question themselves most effectively becomes free from illusion, resilient against deception, and capable of navigating any conversation or life itself with unwavering clarity.